Am I the fool for suggesting that we stay elsewhere during a family vacation? My wife and I have a 2-year-old daughter, let's call her Anna, and we're currently on a family vacation in Hawaii with my parents and my in-laws, 7 people total. We are staying at my father's timeshare, which he periodically invites us to. The 2 pairs of grandparents adore Anna and seem to get along with each other. Anna is undergoing potty training right now, and as with all potty training, there are occasional accidents. We arrived in Hawaii 2 days ago, and she had quite a few accidents, I suspect because she's dealing with an unfamiliar place and new people. Right before dinner, Anna had an accident on the pull-out sofa, which necessitated a call to housekeeping to swap out sheets and cushions. My dad wasn't happy. When all 7 of us sat down shortly afterward for dinner, my dad sat down and the first thing out of his mouth was, "Anna is out of control, isn't she?" Bear in mind Anna was sitting right across from him at the table. I let it slide and continued eating, and my wife said something to try to brush it off. Then, my dad suggested that we put Anna back in diapers and that she not be allowed on the bed or the couch. I responded by saying that I didn't want to do that and that potty training is a process that has highs and lows. My dad then remarked that it would be problematic if she had an accident on the carpet because it'd be hard to clean up. In my mind, I thought to myself, so you don't want her on the bed, couch, or carpet, where is she supposed to hang out the whole time, the bathroom? At that point, I was frustrated and said something to the extent of, if Anna's accidents are too big of a problem, we can always find another place to stay at. That's when my dad blew up. He accused me of threatening him and of being disrespectful. It seemed that he took my suggestion as a threat of leaving, and he made very clear that he felt offended. He also said that I needed to be careful with what I say and show respect to your parents. I responded by repeatedly telling him that I didn't threaten him nor intend for him to be threatened. He responded that, it doesn't matter what your intent was, because I feel threatened. At this point I was really upset, so I said something I probably shouldn't have, remarking that he was too easily threatened. My dad then demanded that I apologize to him. I didn't feel that I had to, but I half-heartedly apologized because I wanted the argument to end and because it was making things super uncomfortable for my in-laws who were also sitting at the table and eating dinner through all of this. Later that evening my dad pulled me aside again and lectured me further about the argument. It seemed that the whole blow-up happened in response to my remark that we could stay elsewhere if my dad couldn't tolerate Anna's potty training accidents. Am I the fool for saying that?
Am I the fool for leaving a family party when my sister started shit? I, 28 female, am pretty much estranged from my sister. I don't have her number nor she mine, we're not social media friends, we don't know where the other lives, and we don't invite each other into our lives at all. She didn't invite me to her wedding, and before the party she had never seen my kids, though she still never interacted with them, which I'd prefer. The only time we ever see each other is when it concerns our grandparents. I don't have much to do with my parents either. But my grandparents are different. My grandparents had an informal party to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary, and we all went. My partner of 13 years and our 3 kids were there. My sister was also there with her husband. At some point during the party, my sister came up to me and started berating me for using 2 of her favorite names for my children. I still don't know for sure which ones I used that she would have wanted, but I think it might have been the names of my 2 daughters. My only reason for the assumption is when we weren't estranged, she'd only ever talk about having daughters. But we never talked about this, and I never knew about baby names she might or might not like. We were already estranged when I was pregnant with my first, so it never came up. She told me it was disgusting and I should change them because she's struggling with infertility and deserves to use the names when her baby finally comes. I told her she had no right to throw around demands. And I said I was not going to rename my 5 and 3-year-olds for her. I walked away and attempted to avoid a scene, but she followed me to berate me some more. She called me inconsiderate and accused me of acting out of spite. Yet again, I tried walking away, but to no avail. She grew louder and I knew a scene was about to start, so I apologized to my grandparents and then I left with my family. After the party, I got a text from a couple of aunts and uncles scolding me for walking out and also sharing messages my parents had sent them about it where I was accused of ruining my grandparents' celebration. I also got screenshots of my sister's thoughts as well. They said I was very childish and hurtful walking away from my sister, but also for abandoning my grandparents. My grandparents understood and they're not angry, but it's wearing on me a little what those aunts and uncles are saying plus the screenshots of what my parents and sister are saying. And I didn't want to leave. I felt it was for the best. But now I'm doubting myself, and I may have made it worse the next time my sister and I are in the same room. Am I the fool?
Am I the fool for telling my lonely immigrant neighbor to leave me alone? I met a girl because she knocked on my door and told me she wanted to be my friend because she was also a foreigner. I'm visibly foreign in this country, white, she is not to my eye, she's Mongolian, so I was surprised by her approach. I came over to her apartment and had a very uncomfortable conversation where she told me about her negative experiences with people from my country and her university performance. She also made a point of asking after my salary and said she really ought to make more than me because her Japanese skills were stronger than mine. I didn't like spending time with her, but I agreed to meet again at an event. The next day I had a friend over. The neighbor rings my bell. She's got a snack. In retrospect, she had seen me arrive home and wanted to be invited over specifically because I had another foreigner friend over. I said thank you, that's lovely, here's my friend X, but we're busy, I'll message you later. She would not leave. I said variations on I'm busy right now and now isn't a good time multiple times, in both of our mutual languages, and she just wouldn't leave. I ended up shutting the door on her. 2 days later, same friend is over, and the neighbor rings. I see her on the camera. We go silent and wait. She rings again, texts me saying that she saw me arrive home. At that point I felt really freaked out. The neighbor tried to come by the next day as well, a few minutes after I get home, and I'm now confident that she's actually watching for me to get home. That day I got home late and immediately went to bed, lights off, and I was outright mad she'd try to come over when I'm trying to sleep. My friend advised me to report it to the local police so that they'd ask her to stop harassing me. I've had good experiences with them, but TBH I'm the right kind of foreigner and I think that she is not, and I suspected she was in violation of her visa based off what she said to me about her work on that first night we met. Getting someone deported for being invasive seemed a bit much. I stew over it. The next day is the day we're meant to go out together. I message her a few hours before and say I don't want to meet her anymore and that her coming by made me very uncomfortable. She replied and seemed very sad, said she was lonely. Came by and knocked. I ignored it. She messaged to apologize and said she was having a hard time in this country. I said, please leave me alone. I blocked her and I never saw her again. All this happened over the course of less than a week. I feel bad because I think she was harmless and probably somewhat unwell. She genuinely scared me with her persistence, but I think that's because of my own issues. Why I might be the fool, I don't think she had bad intentions and I literally told her, stay away from me, and listed what she'd done that I felt was rude, but her cultural norms might have been very different.
Am I the fool for having a no children under 10 rule at my vow renewal? Hello all, I, 40 female, and my husband, 41 male, have been married 20 years, and our children, twins female and male, are 14 this year. We decided to get our vows renewed, as we got married at 20 and are now 20 years into marriage. We have spent half our lives together and the milestone lining up with our ages is cute. We did not have the most grand wedding as we were both college students at the time, and as such had decided to host a more upscale party, not a wedding. We are renting a nice venue and getting a great caterer. It's more for the symbolic value than redoing our wedding. We've invited a lot of our family, including my sister, 35 female, and my brother-in-law, 33 male. They both have young children with their partners. Sister's is currently 6, brother-in-law's is 4. And we have asked them to not bring them to the event. We set this rule as there will be drinking, music, and the venue has quite a few areas that are restricted, and we don't think it would be good to have children under 10 there with all of us. We plan on having 23 guests, as those are all that have RSVP'd. My sister was upset, as the venue has a large garden and an indoor aviary and butterfly raising facility, and her daughter loves butterflies. My BIL was also a bit upset, but more towards finding a babysitter, even though the event is 3 months out as of now. Well, my sister and BIL have seemed to form a group and, upon learning that our cousin, who has a 10 years old, will be bringing the 10 years old, they have gotten quite angry and aggressive with us, asking us to let them come with their kids or they won't show up. My mother is very lax and has on multiple occasions told my sister she's being unreasonable, but my sister thinks no children under 10 rule should include the 10-year-old, and has begun saying she thinks we dislike her daughter. My husband is quite averse to confrontation and has told me he doesn't care if his brother comes or not. Meanwhile, our kids are also not helping the situation. My daughter, in trying to be helpful, told my sister she would make a scrapbook of photos from the venue for her daughter, which only aggravated my sister further. My son, in also trying to help, offered to stay home and watch both of the kids, which made my BIL start piping up about how my son shouldn't have to stay home because we can't change our rule. I do want my sister and my BIL to be there, but I also think they're being ridiculous. I have even offered to pay for babysitting and have gotten turned down. I think they're too far-seated in their commitment to getting us to break down the rule than they are to accept a peace offering. Edit for clarity, my sister and my BIL are not the same family. My BIL is my husband's brother and not my sister's husband/partner. I apologize if my wording made it come across this way. My BIL's wife is neutral, as she has mentioned she would love to attend either way.
Am I the fool for kicking my friend's son out after agreeing to let him stay after they lost their home to a fire? My friend and I have known each other for about 5 years. I wouldn't say we have a very close friendship, but we keep up with each other and hang out every few months. Her house caught fire 2 months ago, and she asked if her 23-year-old son could stay with me until May 11th since they had no family nearby. I agreed, thinking it would be very short-term. However, May 11th came and went and he is still here, with no word on when he will be leaving. He is always at home, using my space, eating my food, and loudly speaking to his friends on the phone. I work remotely and it's been very frustrating because he does not respect my office hours, and will make noise while I am trying to work. My friend also drops by unannounced multiple times a week and will stay for over 3 hours watching TV or chatting with him. There's no end in sight to his stay, and I no longer want him here. Tomorrow, I plan to ask him to leave by the end of the week. He does not have a job and likely has nowhere else to go since his mom is also staying with someone else temporarily. Am I the fool?